Hey there, Christophe from the French Herbal. Lower back pain affects so many people around us. It affects men and women alike, whether you're doing hard physical labor or just a little bit of gardening. And sometimes you just bend over to pick up a sheet of paper and bam, you're stuck. Very painful. And it's a problem I know all too well because it's been a big part of my life in the past. So I wanted to dedicate this episode to herbal strategies and how to integrate them into a greater plan to take care of yourself and your back. Because herbs won't fix it all here, right? It will not correct mechanical kinks and bad postures and lack of muscle tone, but it will be an important supporting measure. Before we start, a quick but important reminder. I am not a doctor, a pharmacist, or a licensed healthcare professional. The information I share in this episode is for educational and informational purposes only, not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure any condition, and it does not replace medical care. Okay, so we're going to focus on what's called lower back pain, which is a pain you feel in your lower back around the lumbar region. It can be very sharp and short-lived, what we call lumbago, or it can become chronic and stick around for the long haul. And that was my case. Well, actually, I had both lumbagos and long-term issues, and I had to deal with it for quite a few years. And how did it start for me? Well, early in the year 2000, I started to help my dad to renovate an old farm he had bought. And before that, I had been an office worker, right? I mean, sure, I was active and doing sports, but this did not prepare me for what was coming. Because I had to carry cement bags and lift wooden beams that were supporting the roof. And here in France, we build walls with cinder blocks, and those are quite heavy. Not to mention creating new openings with a huge jackhammer in old walls that were like 35-inch thick. And well, my back was not trained to do this. But I got into it like there's no tomorrow. Part-time first during the summer to help my dad, and then starting in 2010, my parents decided that I could settle in one of the areas of the old farm, which prompted me to do like 10 hours a day working on my future place to live, right? And for the little story, one day we were installing huge wooden beams, lifting them half an inch at a time using scaffolding. And I asked my dad, I said, how did you manage when you were working by yourself? Because he did work on that building by himself for a few years before I came to help. So he said, well, when I was your age, I could lift one end of the beam on my shoulder. And well, I was a young male eager to show his dad what he could do. So very stupid of me, I tried. And I ended up with a herniated disc that caused me a lot of pain for years, right? So that herniation healed thanks to exercises a chiropractor gave me at the time. I had to do them for about 6 months, twice a day, and it healed. But I had to keep working on the renovations. And then I also got into quite a bit of gardening, which means some lower back pain came back. And we'll come back to how I completely got rid of it. But first, let's talk about the causes of lower back pain. Generally, it starts with a disc, joint, ligament, or muscle injury in the lumbar region. Basically, you hurt your back, maybe because you didn't have the right muscle structure for the job, or you just weren't careful enough and you pushed too hard in the wrong positions. Either way, the first step is to get a clear diagnosis, right? Knowing the exact nature of the problem will help you to take more targeted actions. So you'll need a team of a doctor and a physical therapist. Personally, I see an osteopath regularly, and I also have a chiropractor, and I try to go see those guys every 6 months. It's like a car tune-up. You got to stay on top of it, right? And ask your physical therapist or osteopath or chiropractor to not only manipulate you, but also to show you a set of exercises that will improve your flexibility, loosen up knots, and help you to rebuild core strength without hurting your back. A routine you can do regularly, ideally every day, would be perfect. And yes, it will take time away from your morning routine, but it can make all the difference. Once you feel better, you can keep doing those exercises if you have the motivation, or you can stop for a while. And then if the pain comes back, you know it's time to start the exercises again. For me, what made a huge difference as well, and actually cured my lower back pain, once the herniation was all healed, doing deadlifts and also strengthening my abdominal muscles. But the deadlift was even more important. And here a fitness coach showed me how to do this. And be very careful, go slowly and incrementally with the weight, get a trainer if necessary, but really that made all the difference for me. Also get good shoes, for sports, for your work. And here again, I tried many things, from soles that were made exactly to the imprint of my feet, so pretty high-tech stuff, to minimalist shoes for certain activities. Long discussion, I won't get into it now, but the minimalist approach, minimalist shoes, and walking barefoot when I'm home really helped me quite a bit. If you garden or lift heavy things, learn about your posture, how you pick up something heavy from the ground, how to shovel dirt into a wheelbarrow. And it was second nature to my dad, he was a plumber and then a roofing contractor and then a mason. And I could see them shovel sand in the concrete mixer on the left hand side, and then the next hour switch and shovel on the right hand side, right? So the point here is that before you get into herbs, you have to think about all of this. Not by yourself necessarily, talk to a physician, talk to a physical therapist, fitness coach, etc. And do not stop until you have found relief, and you should be able to find relief. All right, so let's talk about herbs finally. First, I want to explain the strategy, because just giving you a list of herbs is not that interesting. If I do that, I'm not helping you to think by yourself, right? So first, I need to explain the categories of herbs we will use, and I will not list every single herb in each category. That would be way too long and not that interesting actually, but you can look that up on your own based on the categories I'm going to give you, and maybe pick based on what grows around you maybe, or what's being sold in your favorite herbal store. Then I will suggest a blend to illustrate my point. It will be a tea blend, but you can also do a tincture blend as well, using the same categories of properties. And I will also suggest an external rub with essential oils. Okay, so first we will formulate the herbal tea blend. I will pick 5 areas of focus, right? So 5 big herbal properties. Number 1, reduce inflammation. And depending on the exact cause of your lower back pain, you may have an inflammatory component that's more or less significant. But in general, inflammation is always there. Whether the disc is damaged, or the joint, or tendons, or ligaments, or the muscle. And to address this, we'll use anti-inflammatory herbs. They will not block the inflammation, and they will not block the healing process, but just tone it down a bit to manage the pain. And since we'll take them internally as a tea or tincture, we want a systemic action. We want constituents to go everywhere in the body. What I mean here is that if you take mullein flowers, for instance, and see my episode on mullein, they will calm inflammation of the lungs, for instance. Will they calm inflammation somewhere else? In your lower back, for instance? Not so much. A little, sure, but we'll go to other herbs that calm inflammation everywhere, and we'll go to herbs that have an affinity for what we call the musculoskeletal system. Okay. Category number 2, we want to relax muscle tightness. Your body's reflex will be to tighten the muscle in that area, to lock it down and to prevent further injuries, right? And that tension can be quite painful. It's technically a spasm. So we'll use herbs to relax the area and ease those knots a bit, not to the point where we get rid of the body natural protection and tension mechanism, but just enough to make you feel a little better. And here we will use anti-spasmodic herbs that work on the skeletal muscles. Okay. Category number 3, we want to prevent venous and lymphatic congestion. And here you might be thinking, what does that have to do with lower back pain? Well, take a minute to walk through a typical day in your life. Do you spend a lot of time sitting, whether at a computer or in a delivery truck or somewhere else? If so, I can guarantee you that you are creating venous and lymphatic congestion in your pelvic area. And if there is congestion, circulation slows down, creating pressure that makes things worse. If you have poor circulation on top of that, what we might call venous insufficiency, it's even more important to work on this. Also think about the link between constipation and lower back pain. If you're chronically constipated, that also creates congestion and pressure in the area, and it can worsen the back pain. So you'll need to work on your transit to ease the pressure if that's your case. But back to herbs here, we will use venous and lymphatic tonics in our mix. Category number 4, eliminate the inflammatory substances your body makes. And here we'll look for herbs with a detoxifying effect. Plants that help your body to flush out inflammatory substances more efficiently. These are herbs that support your elimination organs. And here is an important point. We often look at kidney elimination whenever the issue is about muscle, tendons, ligaments, or joints. And that is something we clearly find in the tradition, or at least in the French practice. We don't worry too much about liver elimination, what we call choleretic and cholagogue action, we herbal nerds. And don't get me wrong, right? Liver action is something we put at the heart of many herbal strategies, for sure. But here, we will rather choose a kidney diuretic action, probably to eliminate uric acid, if I had to guess, a substance that is quite inflammatory to structural tissues. Our last category, number 5, we want to replenish minerals. And we'll look for herbs with a rich mineral content to provide the body with building material to repair any damage to bone, cartilage, tendons, ligament, muscle. Specifically, we'll focus on herbs rich in silica. Why? Because silica is a key building block for this tissue's collagen in particular. Vitamin C would be another important cofactor for building collagen during this period, so maybe think of a little supplementation here. A quick pause to let you know that you can grab my free ebook on preparing herbal teas for the 4 seasons. It's full of simple recipes and blends you can make with herbs you can buy or even grow almost anywhere. The link is right below this episode. I hope you enjoy it. So these are our 5 categories. Now the fun part. Let's select some herbs to put in our categories, plants that have shown effectiveness either in studies or in practice. For the anti-inflammatory category, there are many options. I'll give you 3 and then I'll pick 1 for my blend. So it could be meadowsweet, Filipendula ulmaria. We use the flowering tops. The best form is a tincture made from the fresh flowering tops, but a tea of the recently dried flowering tops will also work. Just don't use boiling water since this is a fragile plant. 85 degrees Celsius is what we recommend here in France for the tea of meadowsweet. Willow bark, whether it's Salix alba or other type of willow containing salicylates. Here it's a bark, so used as a decoction. Birch bark or birch leaves, Betula pendula, or other type of birch containing salicylates. The leaves are prepared as an infusion, as a tea, and the bark would be prepared as a decoction. You can usually find all of these plants, or at least meadowsweet and willow bark, in your favorite herbal store, or maybe directly from a small producer, or you can pick them yourself, right? They all have one thing in common. They contain salicylate compounds, which are anti-inflammatory. In the end, I'll go with the birch leaves because they are easy to prepare as a tea, and they have both anti-inflammatory and detoxifying effect, helping the kidneys to flush, to eliminate uric acid and other inflammatory waste products. Of course, plenty of other possibilities, from turmeric to boswellia to feverfew, etc. I had to make a choice, right? For my antispasmodic herbs, I'll go with yarrow, Achillea millefolium. We use the flowering tops as a tea. When you buy it, make sure it still has a strong aroma. And I can tell you from experience, you always need to check that. You know, some old yarrow that has been sitting on the shelf for a couple of years and that doesn't offer that strong smell, just put it in the compost bin. Yarrow also supports liver function, and it has anti-inflammatory properties, so it covers other categories. Other possible antispasmodic herbs? Sure, passion flower, valerian, etc. Many choices. To address venous and lymphatic congestion, I'll go with a red vine leaf, and go check my episode on that plant. It's quite interesting. Easy to prepare as a tea, again. Other possible herbs here: horse chestnut, butcher's broom roots, hazelnut leaves, etc. For the diuretic and detox effect, I already have birch leaf and yarrow, but I will add ash leaves, Fraxinus excelsior, which is not only detoxifying but also anti-inflammatory to structural tissues. Amazing. I love ash leaves, really great herb. And you can see how one herb can cover multiple aspects of our strategies here, right? And for the mineral-rich herb and silica content, I'll just add nettle, Urtica dioica. I could have used horsetail, I could have used oat straw, but nettles work perfectly here. Plus, it is also anti-inflammatory and detoxifying by working on the kidneys. All right, so knowing all of this, here's the blend I recommend. We'll make a liter of the tea and drink it throughout the day, hot or cold. You can keep it in a thermos for convenience. You can add a little honey if you like. So for 1 liter, about 1 quart for you American folks, 5 grams of birch leaves, 5 grams of ash leaves, 5 grams of yarrow flowering tops, 5 grams of red vine leaves, and 5 grams of nettles, for a total of 25 grams of dried plant material for an adult of 70 kilos or more, which is 154 pounds or more for you American folks. You weigh the right amount of herbs, you put them in a big jar, you steep them in 1 liter of boiling water, let them macerate for 10 minutes covered, then you strain and drink throughout the day. The dosage here is fairly strong, so adjust as you see fit for your taste buds and for your own digestive tolerance. If you have someone make the mix for you, the different herbs need to be cut and calibrated to roughly the same size so that the different plants in the mix do not separate as you handle and shake the bag. In France, we would call that a homogeneous blend. And if you have the mix done by a store, then you would use 1 heaping tablespoon of the mix per cup of tea. that would be simpler than weighing the herbs. And a little gentler way to dose as well. 3 to 4 cups a day would be good. The precautions: this blend is not for pregnant or breastfeeding women, and it should not be used if you're on blood thinners or allergic to salicylates. Okay, next let's talk about external application on the lower back. There are many options, and let me give you a few. The first one is a capsaicin ointment. Capsaicin is the compound that makes chili peppers hot. It works by temporarily numbing the pain receptors. And yes, it comes with a very hot sensation on the skin. That's normal. Ask your pharmacist for recommendation. Some pharmacies sell this type of ointment. Or you can make your own chili pepper infused oil. It's super easy, and I won't go into the details here. Now, careful, do not put too much if you're not used to it. You need to build up tolerance. And do not rub your eyes after you massaged your lower back, or you will remember it. So it is a heating ointment. Some people appreciate the heat very much, others a little less, so you'll have to try. An alternative is Tiger Balm, the red one if you like heating, the white one if you like a little more cooling effects. One last option, which we like very much here in France, is to make our own essential oil mix to help to relieve the pain, reduce inflammation, and relax the area, right? Antispasmodic actions. So I'll share a blend recommended by my colleague Gilles Corjon in his French book, Healing with Herbs. You don't need to write down the recipe, just go on my website. It's in the article associated with this episode. So you'll be making 60 milliliters of preparation. You will need 5 milliliters of wintergreen essential oil, which is almost pure salicylate, to calm the inflammation and bring a cooling effect. 3 milliliters of bay laurel essential oil. 2 milliliters of peppermint essential oil to bring a cooling effect. You'll add 50 milliliters of either sweet almond oil or, even better, arnica infused oil. Infused in what? Well, maybe sunflower oil, for instance, or olive oil. So again, in total, we have 10 milliliters of essential oil blend for 50 milliliters of carrier oil. The dilution here is 10/60, which is about 17% essential oil to carrier oil, right? If you use essential oil, dilution is always important. You need to be precise. So you put those ingredients in a glass bottle, you shake well, and you apply to your lower back 4 to 5 times a day. Do not use if you're on blood thinners or allergic to aspirin and salicylates. Okay, so at this point, we've got our liter of tea to drink throughout the day. We have our topical application. How long should you do this? Well, here's the frustrating answer. It depends. It depends on a lot of things. Try this for a month and see if it helps. Then based on the results, you might need to adjust, try different herbs in the blend, adjust your rub, etc. This is just the beginning of the process. This is not some miracle program that will erase your lower back pain overnight. And don't forget that when you have a chronic health issue, it's a sign that you need to rethink pretty much everything in your habits. And you know what? You may not agree right away, but as long as these are not huge life-threatening health issues, they are actually a gift, right? You got to see it that way. A gift to wake up and take better care of yourself. A gift to change course, to adopt an anti-inflammatory diet, to sleep better, to break out of sedentary lifestyle, to just take care of yourself, right? Herbs are just one part of the strategy. The real work is about the whole holistic approach. So I'll leave you to think about all this. I hope I've helped you better understand how we combine herbs, and most importantly, I hope that I sparked your curiosity about this remarkable world of herbalism. Thanks for listening. We'll talk very soon in the next episode of The French Herbal.